Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, April 23, 2023, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, "You owe me." Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky hot. Something you might want to try is a shaking meditation, right? Where you either watch a sunset or a sunrise. And if you ever need a powerful way to increase your body's energy and let go of any tension stored up inside, take an hour to watch the sunrise or sunset while shaking your body. Bouncing at the knees as slow or fast as you want while looking into the sun is such an amazing release. What was unexpected in this experience was the level of deep appreciation that you may feel for the sun. You realize that the warmth, the light, and life that it continuously brings to all 8+ billion of us on this planet is incredible. You can feel the sun as if it were an alive being who had an immense heart overflowing with love for everyone on the planet. You would feel how the sun would never stop radiating its love towards us, no matter what we did, and would give us warmth until our very last breath of this life. The sun has devoted its existence to giving us all life. There is no greater love than this. Even if we don't give anything back or appreciate the light, warmth, and life we receive from the sun, it will still continue to give, even if we ignore the sun or curse it from burning us, blinding us, or not being there when we need it. It still continues to give. It's an unending love, which we may take for granted, thinking, of course, it's just doing its job. And it must rise at the horizon tomorrow morning. It's true. No matter what we say or do, the sun won't hesitate to be there exactly on time. There is nothing we can do to stop this amazing light from persistently shining on us. The sun is one of our greatest teachers in life. Every moment, it's showing us what deep eternal love is like. It's demonstrating how to be this amazing light, feel it inside us, share it with everyone in the world. It's showing us how to not discriminate who we give our light to, no matter what religion, sex, or country they are from. The sun is the best example as to how to stop hiding our brilliance and just let our inner light shine. It's teaching us through its example how to find this deep, eternal, loving source of energy inside ourselves and to stop looking for it in the outer world. It is telling us that our light is already on inside us, that it's already radiating all around us, and we can relax and bathe in it at any time. The sun never has to give warmth or light to itself because it knows that it already is the source of light. On a deeper spiritual level, each one of us has a natural infinite radiance inside us that is even brighter than the sun. This brilliant light shines on its own accord no matter what we do. The only thing hiding it from our sight is the inner clouds of self-doubt, negativity, and fear. Whenever you believe in a negative thought about yourself, you are forming a dark rain cloud that will stop your inner light from shining through. Of course, it's all temporary and all an illusion inside the mind, yet you can choose not to play this game. The secret is to be so vigilantly aware whenever a potential cloud may be beginning to form, and in that instant you recognize your dreary thinking habit and notice where it came from. and refocus your attention back on the heartwarming energy from your inner sun. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. If you feel that you've been lost in some inner fog for years and haven't the slightest clue where your inner sun might be, take the time right now to look inside at why you're still choosing to remain in this fog. What is the payoff you're getting for not letting your light shine? You can choose a different experience. Whenever we get in the habit of not deeply enjoying every moment of our lives, we have simply forgotten how good it feels to be in touch with our natural radiance. What would it feel like to reclaim your greatest, brightest inner radiance today? At this moment, I invite you to imagine that you just inherited this super abundant, overly generous, non-selfish, sun-like quality. Your main job is simply to radiate your loving light onto everyone and everything of this world. No matter how the people respond to you, simply continue shining the same glorious love and light from within. Now imagine, will you feel what you will feel like after doing this for 24 hours? How would your life change if you shone like the sun for an entire week? How would your conversations be different? What would your face look like if you saw it in a mirror? There already is an immense energy inside you right now, which you get to spread in whatever direction you choose. You can shine it on what you want or shine it on what you don't want. The opportunity is always for you to jump on right here and right now. The first step in clearing any fog or old rainstorm pattern you may be in is to first admit that this brilliant sun-like energy is somewhere inside you. Then choose to focus on it, love it, honor it, and appreciate it as often as you can. The more time you spend focusing on it, the more you'll see and feel an increase of its power. What's really fun is that the more often you share it with others, the more you feel it inside you and realize that you have an infinite supply to give away. Smiling, laughing, eye-gazing, and physically reaching out to touch others are often the best ways to transmit this sacred energy. So you begin to realize that there's no limitations on anything. Once we shed the pre-programming that we've all received from other people's thoughts, and we build our own database of understanding of who and what we are, everything will change. To understand that we are supreme manifestors and we're constantly creating 24/7. And unfortunately, the majority of the people on this planet don't know that. They don't even identify with it. They think it's some kind of a fantasy. And when you discover who and what you are, the civilization begins to unify. See, the unification of the civilization is paramount for us to move forward. Because you've got such a diversity of training that has gone on this planet that very few people see the same direction or unify because of all of the illusions of religion, of skin color, of belief systems that conflict with others. And even though we're one in the physical form, everybody believes they're individuals, independent. Okay? And it's not really true. So the body gives us the illusion of being in the body and experiencing the body and the physical life, but we're all one. So every one of us, all gods are one. We're unified as one. We make up the one pure consciousness and beyond. This is why we shift universes and solar systems and galaxies. So when we're frayed at the edges, when we're kind of tethered, where we are not on the same page, this retards our forward movement. It drags us back into 3D mentality, right? Where we are structured by the civilization and the society that the collective created through physical form. And it just continues in that direction until people begin to wake up. And they wake up on their own. And the first step of waking up is to realize that everything that you see outside of you is an illusion. And you begin to understand that you have been in an illusion, kept in an illusion, and kept away from the God that you are in the body by the distractions. And no matter what happens from day to day, if you don't know who and what you are, then you're lost. And you live as the body and not as the God. And the lifetime goes. It comes and goes. And you do another one. You do 1,000, and you do 2,000, and you do 3,000. And it's the same because you don't have a memory of anything to help you with anything in the current life you're in. You see how it's structured? You see how it's engineered? Now, my attitude is that, melt away the veil so the deception is gone, and that everyone believes and understands that they are the God within the body, and that they are omnipotently powerful, supreme beings that never die, and that they are supreme creators in supreme reality. And this is all through the heart-mind, not through the ego mind, the head. The head has a tendency to think 3D, three-dimensional, all right, which is limiting. It's limitations. And so it puts limitations on us, and it causes us to believe through the years that we're not capable of doing much at all, is that we're weak and powerless, unimportant beings, and that we constantly have to have something or someone directing us on how to live. And after a while, you have an atrophy that begins to kick in. And so you don't shift or take risks or embrace things of the unknown. You stay in this little area that gives you a false sense of security. And you stay there. And every time something comes along, and you say, no, I'm not gonna do that. And every time we face something that's an unknown, most of us back off of it, And because the ego mind kicks in, it starts coming up with all the excuses. No, I'm not going to do that because this could happen and that could happen. If that happens or this happens, then what's going to happen here? And then I'm going to have this over here. And so eventually you back off of it. And risk factors on this planet are becoming more and more apparent in order to move forward, step into the unknown, embrace the unknown as an adventure. You have no idea what the outcome is going to be, nor do you really care. And that's what this whole journey is about. We have an endless journey that goes in many different phases, if you will. Each life is a journey, physical life, and then we end that life and we add another one, another journey. But it's all connected to an endless journey of creating. Now, when we don't know who and what we are, then we're controlled by out there. Then we believe that we're the body. And the funny thing about that is that we don't pay much attention to the body until it starts screaming at us about things. And when it starts screaming at us and we still don't tend it, then it gets really upset. And then we leave the body. So when we look at everything in front of us, above us, below us, around us. And it all looks real, doesn't it? It looks real. You enjoy it. You interact with it. And sometimes you don't like it at all. But you realize it's an illusion. And we have been playing in this playground forever. And it's an illusion to keep us occupied and keep us entertained. And along the way, once in a great while, one of us wakes up fully to understand who and what we are, and then to begin embracing the God and staying within the God that we are. This changes everything, perspectives, outlooks. We stop judging ourselves and others. We have the confidence, trust, and faith in ourselves and the universe that we could literally create anything, manifest anything for ourselves or anywhere, quite instantaneously. It's like you're walking along and then you come across an opening in the ground, right? You've never seen this opening before. And then you look down there and you just see darkness. And you see like a little ladder on one side of the opening going way down. This ladder seems to just keep going all the way down to whatever at the bottom. And someone says, then there's a whole group congregating and looking at it, and somebody says, well, why doesn't anybody go down the ladder to see what's at the bottom? And then the ego mind kicks in and says, well, you know, what if the ladder is old? What if it breaks and you're halfway down? And someone else says, well, how do you know when you're halfway down? Because you can't see anything. Just the light coming in at the top. And then someone else says, well, what if there's no bottom? What if it goes endlessly? You'll run out of energy. You won't be able to get back up and out. See, these are all things that are created by the ego mind. It's insecurities. Now, there's a couple of people that say, heck, it's an adventure. I'm going to see where this ladder goes. So they get out and they go over to the opening and they get on the ladder and start going down. And eventually they disappear. And everybody just automatically says, well, they're dead. They're not coming back. Something happened. They must have fell or something. Or there might be water down there and drowned. I mean, there's all kinds of things that come up. And so the person, all of a sudden, shows up, they start seeing them come back up. And the person says, it's absolutely glorious. What is? It's a whole civilization down there. It's beautiful. It's absolutely marvelous. I didn't want to leave, but I wanted to come up here and let you all know that it's safe. And then the people would still, through the ego mind, say, how do we know you're telling the truth? How do we know there's not something down there that replaced you or did something else? You know, we don't believe you. See, this is an example of what goes on in our civilization. And we're always questioning, which is not a bad thing, but we don't believe in ourselves. We don't have confidence and faith in ourselves that the universe has our backs at all times. And you know, you're tested by the universe over and over again. And you have to have the patience of Job, which means you really do you've got to go with the flow. It's a choice you make. If you don't go with the flow, like this person that went down the steps, that says, heck, I'm going to see what's down there. And they found that out for themselves. But most of us fight the current. We fight it every inch of the way. You know, we fight our life. We fight living. We fight enjoying, we fight being happy. I mean, it's constant. And then people wonder where the stress comes from, because we're constantly fighting ourselves. We don't, because we're afraid to find the God that we are. Many are. I know, because I've asked a lot of people through the years, and they've all said the same thing. I'm afraid to go within because I'm afraid of what I'll find. So they're afraid of what's ever in them, whatever they're carrying with them, whatever they're suppressing, and they just don't care to face it. So they stay on the outside. And these are the boogeymen that we carry with us, that we think are boogeymen, and that they haunt us. They surface, and we suppress them. We kick them aside or stuff them back in the closet and lock the closet door. But they keep coming out on occasion. And this is where a lot of people cannot go with the flow. Okay? They can't go with the flow. It's because they feel that they have to fight the current. You got to be fighting something to get somewhere, right? You got to be fighting something to get somewhere. You got to stress and stretch and pull and, drag to get somewhere. You can't just sit around and go with the flow. You got to constantly going after something. And then when you get there, what do you find? You say to yourself, this has got to be more than this. And because the whole time you weren't grateful to the life that you have in the very moment. See, then we shoot over that and we start wanting other things, which is fine. But we're so attached to the physical material world that we don't let go. If you're afraid that a bird is going to fly away if you open your hand, then it flies away. Period. If you hold it too tight, you can hurt it or kill it. So a lot of people hold the bird so it can't fly away because they're afraid of losing the bird. Instead of just saying, let it go. And a lot of us are afraid to let it go because we're afraid we'll never see it again. And actually the opposite happens. So we let everything flow, our thoughts, our fears, worries, stresses, anxieties, and you surrender to it. You just say, it is what it is. And you don't say it in an anger way or a low vibrational frequency. You just identify and say, it is what it is. And see, but you can tell by the training of other people's thoughts that people have experienced from baby to adult, that it's very tough to let go. It's very challenging to let go. And when we let go, that's when things happen. If we're attached to things, that's when things don't happen. Because we suffer, because when we attach to something and we have expectations and none of it happens, that's where we suffer. But when we let go and go with the flow, if it is to be, or if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And be good with that. Really be good with it. Sometimes we get so close to things that we can't be partial or unbiased. We're influenced so much. So sometimes we get so close to things that we just can't understand many things because we're so close to something. And then when we let it go, and we just let it go, just bye-bye, then we're freeing ourselves. It's like, and here's a good question to ask yourself. You have something, right? But you have a decision to make, where you say, I'm not going to count on this. Okay? You're not going to count on it happening. You're not going to make plans in the direction that it's happening. Now, some perspectives, you fake it until you make it, right? And that you have to do wholeheartedly. So you actually believe that whatever it is you want is already yours. That's where your willpower comes in. You know, whatever you believe, it's already yours. And in the event that something happens and it doesn't materialize for you, then you say that's okay. No big deal. But the reason we suffer, it always goes back to what? Ego mind. It's always the ego mind. The ego mind is always wanting. Never stops. It's always wanting. No matter if you have something and you're satisfied, and then that satisfaction dies away, and then it's something else. And that repeats itself throughout our lives. It's like with our team, with the people involved with our technologies, when you look at things and you know to the very fiber of your existence that you can create them, but yet you have no resources to create them, and so you just have to go with the flow. You choose to go with the flow. And it's not easy. It can be, kind of tenacious or kind of shifty at times, because it really assists when you just let go of things. You surrender. Go with the flow. It'll happen when it happens. Okay? But imagine knowing that, right down to the atom of your body and your being and existence, that you could be saving millions of lives in the very now moment, but yet you're so far away from it. And in order to maintain some form of a semblance, you just go with the flow. You just, go about your way and downstream thinking, and not get caught up or frustrated or irritated when things appear and then disappear. That example can apply to any one of us in this life. Different things, different directions. You counted on something, and you counted on it a lot, and it never materialized, and you suffered. Now you flip that over, and you don't count on it, and you just go your direction, believe in the God that you are, believe in the universe, have trust, faith, and confidence in oneself and the universe and the God that you are, and that's pretty much the formula. Because that the ego mind is going to do everything it can to keep you from discovering you. And then you get the low frequencies, and then you get you're hard on yourself, and then you get into discussions with yourself, and then you start trying to analyze things. And it kind of pulls you down in low frequency. And then you stop yourself and say, why would I want, that's the ego mind. Want. Sounds like one of those old car horns. And you let that go, you stay in the now, and you stay in deep gratitude for the very moment. And that allows everything to open up. And, it's like, how many times have you caught yourself when you were waiting for something, right? You had been doing something and created something, and something was in the hopper, so to speak. And you're waiting for it, and, there was a certain day that you've been given where it was supposed to, happen, and materialize for you, right? And so you go along, and you're really not paying much attention to the time, the day. But as it gets closer, it becomes more front and center. And as you get closer, you get anticipation. And you're not really thinking about it not being there, say. And so the anticipation grows, and then you start going, well, now I'll be able to do this, and I'll be able to do that, I'll be able to do that. And then the day comes, right? And, you couldn't sleep much the night before, and you're really excited about it, and then it goes flat. What is usually the response? Disappointment, right? Number one. Irritation. And again, that's suffering. And then guess what happens? You go onto yourself, and you start being hard on yourself. Well, maybe I shouldn't have believed it. Maybe I made a mistake, and I shouldn't have believed it, and I shouldn't have believed it as much as I did believe it. And this is what happens to all of us. None of us are exempt. And then we go, another time. I'm deeply grateful for the very moment I'm in, and for what I do have temporarily in this life. And every step of the way, I enjoy every step of the way. And these challenges that we create for ourselves, because we create them for ourselves. No outside force does it. We do it. And that doesn't mean that we know it. See, doesn't mean we're cognizant to it. But we do. We create these things. Why? Well, they're little twists and turns, and we learn. And, I've had people ask me, when are we going to stop learning? I don't believe we ever will. No matter where we're at, what we're doing, we'll never stop learning. We learn, we create. We learn, we create. We learn, we create. So the information that we assimilate as we go through different lives, different inhabiting different life forms, that's part of the database we build for creation. Okay? So we're constantly bringing input. And the information is coming in and coming in and coming in. Here's an interesting point. We are not artificial intelligence. We are organic intelligence. OI. Organic intelligence. We are not artificial intelligence. Have you ever, like when you're eating something, you might read the label, and it says artificial flavors, right? And you taste it, and most of the time, it doesn't taste that great to the real thing. To artificial ingredients, not interested in that. I want the real deal. Okay, I want the real flavor. Red dye 5, yellow dye 3, all of that, artificial flavors, artificial vanilla flavoring. Why would you have that if you could get the real deal? It's just like artificial intelligence and organic intelligence. There's no comparison. So it's us learning every step of the way. The first is who and what we are, and the only way we're going to learn about that is by going within and staying within. Now, how many people do you believe on this planet are going within and staying within? Not a lot, but enough. And so the changes in the light frequencies of the planet and the civilization are immense. And remember, as I've said this several times, one person can influence millions just by their attitude of gratitude. And we're not as lost as some would want to believe as a civilization. We've just taken a few wrong turns. Well, I wouldn't call them wrong, but a few turns that kind of peeled us off of the main path for a while. And then we realize that, so, well, I'm going to couple myself, use a coupler, and boom, come back on to the main path with no issue. And how do you know that that when you take that veer off, right? You may not know it, but let's say you veer off and you take that path. How do you know it's not designed just for you to learn something? If you experience over and over and over and over again, right? Something that you worked on and and learned, and you just go along the way, and every time that you experience it, the outcome is the same. Now, right? So you're going along, and these different opportunities show up for you, and so you pursue, right? You embrace them, and it ends, and nothing happens for you. And then another one comes along, and you embrace that, and nothing happens. And so you keep doing this, and then all of a sudden you say to yourself, maybe I shouldn't embrace everyone that comes along, and maybe I should look at them from the perspective of saying, is this right for me? Is it right for what I'm doing? But you can't speculate. You can guess, right? You can guess, but you really can't. You can speculate, guess, and assume, and supposition, but you really don't know. And you do all the right things. You've learned you do the right communication and the right respect level and everything, and they just die. They just go by the wayside. Then you start to realize, you say, well, maybe the universe has designed a time that I'm not aware of for these things to fall into place. So you know what? I'm going to give it to the universe with all the faith, confidence, and trust, and just let the universe take care of it, period. Because you can't, if you keep doing the same thing, and we all know this statement that Einstein made, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you're expecting different results, you need to check up from the neck up. It's not going to happen. You keep doing things, and you expect different results, and you keep doing the same way over and over again. Rather than nipping them in the bud and not worrying what other people would say, and just basically coming straight out and saying, this isn't going to work. Have a good day. That shifts it, see? It shifts it. And it puts it on a different track. And then you start to realize that, hey, wait a minute, things have changed. They've shifted. I'm not receiving the same response that I've always received in these endeavors. So now I know to change things, to change them up. Don't do the same thing over and over and over again and expect different results. Because you're not going to get the different results. You're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And you're going to get the same results over and over again. So that pattern, and then that conditions you to start being what? Cynical, pessimistic. I've been here before. Yep, I know how this works. I know what the outcome of this is going to be. See, and that's the low frequency that you care not to go into, but you're reinforcing it. So you're agreeing with the ego mind when that happens. Here we go again. Have you ever done that? Here we go again. This smells awful familiar. See, all that stuff comes back to you from previous experiences, and you start going, I don't know, And you're almost like a bloodhound because you're looking for things that stand out at you, and then you start analyzing it. So it is absolutely up to us and where we direct our energies and what we put forth to the universe on what we really do want in this life. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in from the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Let your mind come to rest. The mind is a vehicle to discover the divine. It is not who and what you truly are. There are no more experiences of suffering when there is non-attachment to the mind. Peace, lightness, and oneness is within. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night and the following morning. We'll return here Monday, April 24, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times, and be in the deepest, deepest, deepest of eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you.